Gary Russell Jr. stops Kiko Martinez in 5 rounds. Gary Russell Jr. looked very, very, very sharp in this fight. The hand speed was on point, the movement was on point, he looked very fluid. You would never believe that Gary Russell Jr. has been as active as he has been, could keep performing like this, where he's just, the inactivity doesn't seem to show. Because since 2015, Gary Russell Jr. has fought once a year. Excuse me, once a year, every year since 2015. He won fight 2015, he fought, was a Highland in 2016, I forget the guy's name, he fought in 2017, and then last year obviously he fought Jojo Diaz. So he's been very inactive, and it's a shame because Gary Russell Jr. is a very, very, very good fighter. And I think that if you have a more active Gary Russell Jr., he's extremely dangerous. He's a threat to anybody in the featherweight division. His only loss was a majority decision loss to Vasily Lomachenko. When you consider fighters are struggling to go 12 rounds with this guy, to be able to go 12 rounds, be competitive, and to have a reasonably close decision loss. I remember that fight. I thought Lomachenko won it clearly. But to have a close loss against someone like a Lomachenko, it looked better in the grand scheme of things when you see what Lomachenko's gone on to achieve. And Gary Russell in this fight, from the opening bell, he was landing almost at will with Kiko Martinez. Kiko Martinez was trying to pressure Gary Russell Jr., but he was so much slower. Gary Russell has probably the fastest hands in boxing. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I agree with it. His hand speed is blindingly fast. Gary Russell Jr., his biggest issue has always been his actual hands. He does have fragile hands. Now, I think that is probably the main reason why he's been inactive. He says himself that it's because other fighters don't want to fight him. I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I just don't know if his hands would be able to get through to more than one training camp a year, realistically, because he's hurt them several times over the years, and I think that might be the main reason why he's so inactive. And as I said, it's a shame because Gary Russell Jr., to see him in this fight, you'd never believe he was inactive as he was, because he just looked so sharp. His movement was on point, his punches were, well delivered, well timed, his timing seemed to be on point, and he just had a field day with Kiko Martinez. He busted up Kiko Martinez's face, and that was how the stoppage came. Martinez had a cut over his eye. It was caused by punches. Gary Russell Jr. was just finding home. He couldn't miss with shots like uppercuts, hooks, all that. He just couldn't miss Kiko Martinez, and referee called time at the end of the fifth. Doctor came over, had a look, and decided that no, enough was enough. Let's stop the fight. And I think it was a compassionate move because Kiko Martinez, he's a warrior, he's a veteran. He was never going to win this fight. Gary Russell Jr. was just leagues and leagues above Martinez in this fight, and if they hadn't stopped it in the fifth, it was going to happen sooner rather than later anyway. So, good performance, as I said, from Gary Russell Jr. He said after the fight that he wants Leo Santa Cruz. I'd like to see that fight. Leo Santa Cruz is another fighter who's gone under the radar since his win over Carl Frampton there back in 2017. He's had the rematch with Abner Mares last year, but we've not really heard much from him. So it's a shame because there's two good featherweights who you don't really hear much of, but they're good in their respective divisions. They're probably two of the best. So it'll be interesting to see Gary Russell Jr. against Leo Santa Cruz if and when it happens. If it happens this year, just given the fact that Russell Jr., he has been so inactive, I would say I'd be surprised if it happens this year. I'd be pleasantly surprised if it did. But no, going back to this fight, Gary Russell Jr., fantastic performance. As I said, it is a shame that he's only out once a year because he is a fantastic fighter. He is fun to watch. And I think he's a very skillful fighter. And as they were alluding to on commentary, if you are having fights once a year and you're very slow to develop, you're developing very slowly because you're not staying ring active, you're not in the ring enough to be able to hone your skills. So what we see from Gary Russell Jr. here, if he was fighting maybe 2 or 3 times a year, who knows what we'd see? Who knows how much more on point he'd be? Because I thought he looked sharp here, and this is his 4th fight in 4 years. If this was his 7th, 8th, how much more sharper would he be? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you thought. Did you watch the fight? Did you see it? Were you impressed with how Russell Jr. looked? I know I was. I know Kiko Martinez is quite a spent force at this stage, but let's not forget 2 years ago he was pushing Josh Warrington all the way in a fight that a lot of people felt that he may have done enough to win. And look what Josh Warrington's gone on to achieve since then. So, good performance from Russell Jr., definitely. As I said, let me know what you guys think down below. How do you think a fight between him and Leo Santa Cruz would go? I'd be very interested to see that fight. I would favour Gary Russell Jr. if it happens this year. So, let's see what happens. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thanks for dropping by the channel. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and as always, I will talk to you after.